Hello, you amazing friends. This is your pal, Edwards here speaking, with a man other than needs no recommendation. Now, Jeff Bezos looks like him. He doesn't look like Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos looks like him. We've got the legendary leader of Zinzino and fantastic man, Robert Horkings. How are you tonight, Robert Horkings?
Hey, listen, Ed, we're doing really well. Actually, it's been a great month so far for this month, and sales are up. There's so much volume happening. It's outstanding, actually.
Now, it's incredible. Now, where are you right now? When we were speaking before off camera, and oh my God, we've got Shirley Cooper with us. If you've just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. Please say hello. Connect with legendary Robert Hawkins on Facebook, LinkedIn. Where are you right now? So you're gallivanting across the country again. Is that right, Robert?
Yeah, I've got a reasonably tight schedule actually, Ed, and in the next I'm going to say 3 to 4 weeks. So literally, I'm in Brisbane at the moment. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. I'm down to Adelaide doing some work at the office and warehouse. Then the following weekend on the 6th of October, I'm over in Perth doing an event over there. So that's going to be huge. And then on the 10th, I actually jump on a plane and head to Dubai to do a meeting. Dubai for 2 days, and then I'm off to Oslo, Norway, for exactly 11 days, and then I head back and into Dubai. Then I go to Sydney, Melbourne, back into Adelaide, back into Brisbane.
Oh my God, you're the old. I mean, I just do a lot of domestic stuff. You're the ultimate. Traveling businessman. You're just literally bouncing across the planet doing crazy stuff. That's very cool, Robert.
Well, that fetish that you have for Virgin. Okay, I have for Qantas. They look after us both very well. And it's interesting, guys. If you be nice to the people on the plane, be nice to the people that are surrounding you. It's amazing how you can get put in the right seat at the right time.
Oh, amazing. Now, I'm going to ask now we'll talk about Zinzino, which is incredible. We'll come back to Zinzino, but I'm just going to ask, I think, a question a lot of people are thinking is that you are living a life that most people would dream of, right? And we know that, right? You're on every level, relationship, spirituality. You've basically ticked all the boxes for success in life, right? And how did you get there? How did you become so rounded, successful? And what's your tips to everyone watching to have a crazy, amazing life of success that you have?
I think it goes back to the early days, and I always put it back to my military first up. So doing a little bit of time in the army, okay, it gives you good grounding. Not that I say everybody needs to go to the army, okay, but what it did do as I came into business, and I'm talking about in my 20s, okay, I was very fortunate to bring a couple of really amazing companies to Australia. Okay, Atari, Nintendo in my early days. And that allowed me a lot of grounding. And that actually got me a position at IBM. So when you get companies like IBM and I'm talking about those days, and I think today is still like it. It's all about your own mindset. And, if your mindset is right, you can go anywhere in this world. So it was from there that I actually did the IBM voyage for 14 years. But it was when I went into direct selling, and you have to become as good as you can to succeed, because you're no longer on a salary. You're no longer getting paid an hourly rate or whatever the number might be. You're actually as good as creating the teams, creating the sales volume to get your residual income. And I think that 25 years has really built me, to know that I had to always stay in front of the game. I wasn't allowed to be like the game. I had to be in front. I had to make sure you're innovating, make sure you're doing the things required today that other people are either just thinking about. And I look at some of the stuff that you do, Ed, online, and some of the other incredible leaders around the world. I think, wow, that's amazing. And then I'll quickly put my version or my spin on the Edward Zia spin. So they won't go, oh, you've copied Ed. I go, no, well, this is the way So it's amazing how you see things. You go, okay, now how can I fine tune that to suit the business? And the business being Zinzino, the business being, and I always say, your business is actually you at the end of the day. At the end of the day, if it wasn't you, Ed, your business is nothing. I'm sorry, but you drive your business I drive Zinzino Asia Pacific at the end of the day. Yes, I've got 15 staff. Yes, I've got 5 officers. Yes, I've got a management, all that type of stuff. And I report back to the CEO. But I drive me, which then drives the next level, which then gives the enthusiasm to, number one, our consumer group around the world, and then our partners that are actually driving the sales volume with us as well. So I thank you on a level of your mentorship, okay? And guys, I make this public knowledge, okay? I pay Edward $200 a month. I think that's like slavery. That's ridiculous. I want to pay you more, but you won't take more, okay? But
I will, whatever you want, hand it over. Yeah.
Well, that subscription, okay, Ed, every time it hits my Amex card, I go, if I could just tell Ed how much money I make out of that $200, it's insane. It's crazy. And anybody listening, guys, just work out how to get to Ed, work out how to get his subscription, do whatever. But you'll never, when you see that, like the subscriptions we have, like Prime and all that on our statements, we all have 5, 6, 10 subscriptions. My number one that is closest to fresh air, okay, is Edward would never go. Edward's there, happy entertainment or whatever it is. I don't know. There's a perfect name for it. But I mean, like last night when I was just going through statements, I went, this is the power of this network. We met up 15, 18 months ago, 2, 3 years ago. I don't know what the time was. But, it's what's created on from that. And honestly, Edward, I can't put a value on what you've helped me, okay, me as a person. And a lot of people go, really? And I say that about a number of my people that I've worked with, that you emotionally disturb me to take the actions required that I need to do to get to the next level or to be ahead of the game. And if you're not ahead of the game, guys, you're losing.
Yeah. And thank you for that. And I just want to check in with our fans. We've got a few friends of us. So we've got my friend Miss Sushi here. Miss Sushi, she's actually watching us on Facebook. She's actually massive on LinkedIn. So Miss Sushi, big influencer from Singapore. We've got Musbul, Shirley. If you've just come in, please smash that like, share, and comment and say hello. I think the one thing that you've said, and you've said this a lot, ahead of the game. Like if I noticed that a common theme with you, and this is probably one of the reasons that you've done so well in life, and congratulations, is you've always had a ahead of the game sort of focus. So I can imagine when you were like in your 20s, you were never a normal character. You weren't just going to slot into a job and go, awesome. You're going to be, how can I do something that is ahead of the game and brand new? So I can imagine have you always been like that? Always had that sort of creationist type of thinking?
Well, I think the key comes down to is you look at life and you go, okay, here's the people that I look up to, inspire to, and they're normally 15 or 20 years older than you, okay? Most of them are. I was at a function this afternoon, same type of thing. I'm 61 now. There was people that were there with 35, but there were some inspiring guys, and the guy I got to sit beside, okay, he owns 5 shopping centers in Brisbane, okay?
Wow.
Now he's 81. He's 81, okay? And that's inspiration. And I'm thinking, okay, and I had a great conversation about it, but he just literally said, my wife told me not to do it when I purchased my first one, okay? And then after I purchased my 5th one, she agreed with me. Now, and I'll say this openly, I won't say his name, but openly, he's worth $50 million plus. And that's the inspiration of sitting beside this 81-year-old gentleman today and just getting some insights to what he did. And it's quite amazing. And this is what he did, okay, 40 years ago.
Just jumping in, I just thought of a funny thought there. Like his wife probably would have been, don't you buy that shopping center? He did and made a lot of money. And then she could have changed the story, say, I told you to buy that shopping center. You almost chickened out. I made you do it. So she should have claimed credit for that one and twisted the facts a little bit.
Married 42 years, but this guy started off, okay, he had a legal firm, and what he did, he franchised it 40 years ago, okay, Nick Sapala, and he had all these franchise, literally lawyer clinics everywhere, or outfits everywhere, and that's how he made the beginning of his money. Then he sold that off to a group, and then he said, okay, I'm going to start buying shopping centers. And guess what? The only shopping centers he buys is his main tenant is Coles. That's how big the properties are. Okay.
Wow. There we go. So
Pretty
it's a
amazing.
Coles
And I
buff.
went, yeah, definitely, absolutely amazing, absolutely mind-blowing story. Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. Wow. So, so to me, that's really interesting. Like, you've always had the viewpoint of being ahead of the game, right? And one of the things that interests me about what you're doing is, yes, you're in Zinzino. It's amazing products and everything. However, the thing I want to really sort of focus on is how you actually help mentor people to help turn them into successful business people. Because I can imagine you may not, for example, anyone who's motivated with a decent sense of intelligence, they can work with you and become extremely successful in Zinzino in terms of building a business for themselves. Please tell us all about how's the business work, how's the opportunity work, how do you and your team mentor people to become successful in that game?
Well, it's always the beginning, and I always say, okay, guys, this is number one. Number one, you have to believe in the product. You have to be a product of product. Okay. If you don't, take a test like I did, and I always go, well, this is what I did, this is what I'm doing, and let's duplicate that. When I first met this company, just on 5 years ago, I took a test. From that point, I literally brought some product. Okay.
Yeah.
From that point onwards, I then put a business plan because in the Southern Hemisphere, they had no operation, basically. They were looking for somebody to do the operations in the Southern Hemisphere. So that then gave me an opportunity to say, okay, let's put a business plan together. No difference, guys, if you're going into whatever business, even if it's a side gig, if you don't have a business plan and a mapped out, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever number it is, to know what you want. And the bottom line is, guys, I know we all say, well, I'm not doing it for the money. You are doing it for the money. Okay?
Can I just jump in there? So I was having this conversation before, right? It seems like people lie, and I'm not saying this to any of our viewers. Our viewers are awesome, including Miss Sushi who's watching. But a lot of people tend to lie to themselves. Like, you're in business for money, right? Of course, that's why you're doing it. Yes, you want to be passionate and do it with your values. Why do people have this weird duplicitous nature of they're really driven by money, but they pretend not to be? What's this strange duplicity about?
Well, again, I think it's a mindset of people that say, "Oh, I just want to make everybody happy and healthy in the world," and whatever. Yeah, but it's breathing is number one priority in your life. Okay, without oxygen, you're dead. Okay, money's very close to that. I'm sorry. Okay, and with some money, you can have much better health than what most people have got in the world. So and I always steal a line, but it's a factual line that I've always used in life. Okay. I've been a very, very wealthy person. I've been a very, very poor person. I choose wealthy all the time. Life with cash in your pocket is easier than life with no cash. So let's just make sure we have it.
Now, and of course, I'm going to bring up Jordan Peterson. I can't speak for more than 10 minutes about talking about how much I love Jordan Peterson, right? And one of the things I love about Jordan Peterson, and you remind me a lot of Jordan Peterson, right? I think it's amazing. So you have you're more handsome than Jeff Bezos, but you've got more tenacity than Jordan Peterson, right? But to me, the thing I find really fascinating about all this is that Jordan Peterson, he's not the only one done it, but Jordan Peterson, he always comes out and he says stuff that's true, that's unpopular. Like, it's against the narrative, but it's true, right? And he can demonstrate. And interestingly, he's come out and said, the more money you have is the longer you live and the more healthy you are, full stop, right? And so a lot of people will then say, does money buy happiness? Statistically, the answer is yes. It's been proven. Money buys you a longer lifespan. It buys you more health. It buys you more protection. So it's not an opinion. It has been factually proven with statistics that money can buy you happiness. Tell us a bit more about that concept, Robert, because I know you agree. I'm just wondering your view on that one.
I support a group called Live Happy. Okay, I wear the shirt sometimes. Okay, so livehappy.com, guys, go up and there's so much data up there. It's crazy. Okay, so if you're looking for some motivational stuff that you've never seen before, it's by Mr. Jeff Olson. Okay, called From the Slight Edge. You may have heard of him around the world. I had the privilege of working with Jeff for about 5 years, and I still work with the Live Happy organization. But it's a great organization because it can take a normal person that is sort of in a tough spot to another level without all that. And I say this nicely, do not get me wrong, but there's a lot of superficial stuff on the online world
Yeah,
that
there is.
have never done the real things they're
Yep.
talking about,
Yep.
have never lived a tough life in their work life,
Mm.
that they have never had a struggle where they've lived in their car, they've all
Yeah.
these type of things, and then they try to be the guru of all gurus. Go back to the grassroots, and I love sites like livehappy.com because it's none of this stuff that's out there now. Okay, it's not affected. And again, I have nothing against AI, but the bottom line, there's a lot of stuff that's happening that you go, that's AI. That's if you're smart, you can pick it, where it's coming from.
Well, on that note, AI is boring. Like when you see content that's written by AI, it's like it's been written in Canberra. It's just flat. It's correct, but it's just flat and boring and about as appealing as a loaf of white bread from Woolworths.
Yeah, and so as we now agree on, okay, that if you're going to do AI, as a quick side note, put your personality into your content. Whatever you're doing, Ed, when I read your information or get a message from you, it's you. It's your personality. Don't send me stuff, okay, that is not your personality. Okay, because people go, well, and everybody goes, oh, that's just AI now. Yeah, so everybody's become this superficial thing. Again, I have no problems with it. It's good for some parts of business. But we're talking about how do you get yourself to the next level or in front of the game. You got to have the personality. You got to have what I call the checkup from the neck up. If your mindset is not right, if everything is not right here first, the rest is not going to work. Okay, and and today in today's world, okay, we prove it with again the Zenzino balance test. We already know that 97% of the world is out of balance. We know that 97% of the world is 2, 3, 5, 20 kilos or pounds overweight. We already know that. But there's one place that you can forget the rest of your body. If you get this machine up here working fine, if you fine tune that to a point where it's laser sharp and you're thinking sharp, you're talking sharp, and you're acting sharp, the game is honestly it's over because it doesn't. It's what's coming out here is what they're looking at. When you're slightly overweight, 1 kilo, 2 kilos, 5 kilos, 20 kilos. Ed, you've been there. Remember your pictures from a number of years ago? Okay, you did the omega-6 diet first to see whether you could stay thin. You proved to yourself that, guess what? All the fatty foods make you fat. Okay, you blew up, but you were able to bring it down because you were retuning your mindset. And something else again, like my business, okay, Zenzino, we grew crazy during that speed bump of life. Okay, your business was created in that speed bump in life. Do you imagine if you were still humping along the way you were without that speed bump, you probably would have been in the same position without the speed bump because the speed bump made you think differently.
Yeah. Well said. It's funny. And I remember many times actually sitting down, right? And you're so right, is that, again, with the whole, the COVID lockdown speed humps we all had, right? Most people folded, right? But there were a few people, you included and me included as well, that sat there and said, how can we win big? And it's funny because, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I don't like this, but I'll just be honest with you. But I just hope no one on LinkedIn hears this. But what happened was that hopefully this isn't a LinkedIn Live or anything. But what happened was, to be honest with you, I was a bit of an average man, but pre-lockdown. Just being honest with you, I was a bit of an average guy. It was lockdown that I believe it did turn me into an exceptional character. Because you're right, because I suppose I had to sit there and ask myself the question: do I want to be average or exceptional? There's sort of two. Where am I going in life? Do I want to go down the average path or do I want to go down the exceptional path? And I think when you actually ask yourself that question, honestly make a decision that consciously, it changes everything, doesn't it, Robert?
Look, and I think that's the decision factor you got where you are in life. Okay, you make a decision to say, what am I going to do with this card that I've been dealt? And even
Yeah.
if you're starting today, yeah, start your 90-day plan today. Start your 12-month plan today. Your 2, 3, 5-year plan. Start it today.
Mm.
But what are you prepared to do today that's going to change the outcome over the next 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, okay? Whatever it is. But that's what happened to me when that lockdown happened. I said this will be over in 90 days. I still clearly remember me doing calls and saying, guys, this will be gone. And I was in South Korea. We had the same problem. It was gone in 90 days. 3 years later, okay,
Yeah.
we in fact, I still say today, 4 years later, we're still cleaning up from it in Southern Hemisphere. We're just coming back versus the Northern Hemisphere and where they're at. They adapted really quickly. And again, I think, guys, because they can fly around and get business in their areas, okay, yes, the Russia issue put a bit of a speed bump for them as well, but they were able to quickly say, oh, Russia, leave us alone. And they just divorced Russia quickly. No problem. But down here, you look at the landmass of Australia, and like me flying from Brisbane to Adelaide to Perth, it's a 6-hour flight normally, okay?
Yeah.
And the UK guys can fly to Florida in 7 hours. So, that's how big a landmass. So we can't jump around. We've only got 27 million people, but I reach out to all the countries around me. But you got to, and I said, okay, once I knew that this was real, this thing was going to real, I knew I had to become very good on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very good. None of this, garbage that, somebody's muted, somebody's yelling, somebody's screaming, the kids are screaming, all that stuff that I see on Zooms or recordings. And I go, you just don't prepare it. You got to prepare for it. So it changed the way I was thinking as a businessman.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I can imagine we all did this, right? Which is obviously why we're still here, is that when the whole, and I love how you frame it as a speed hump, when that occurred, we decided to become exceptional. We decided to deal with it in a positive way and obviously won, right? And this brings me to the next point, right? This brings to the next point. To those watching, Robert, to those who are, let's say, stuck in life, be it they're in a job they don't like, be it they've achieved some level of success in their business, but they've stagnated, right? What do you say to people who aren't happy with their life in terms of their success or they're stagnated? What do you say to them to reboot them and get them going, Robert?
Get a blank book, buy yourself a notebook, okay, just a blank, and put it, guys, electronics, great. I love it to death, okay? I love technology. But when you're designing your life, you got to write it like a book. Chapter 1, okay? Put your key points of where you want to be, year 1, year 2. And I always try to say, people, 90-day runs or 120-day runs, okay? So sense and zen, it used to be 90 days of my life, but because your red blood cells cycle in 120 days, I now do all my training in 120 days, okay? So every 120 days, you either need to be reinventing yourself or taking yourself to the next recycle, where your blood is recycling to the next level. So if you understand the cellular structure of a body, okay, so if you've got poor blood cells today, if you're feeding it correctly, okay, in 120 days, it's impossible for you to have bad cellular structure. So then the next 120 days, okay, you're going to have those cells that will duplicate better. And then 120 days later, so we're at 360 days now. So 1 year from today, 3 cycles of 120, your cells will be much better because you fed them and nourished them and done the right things. Like you, when you went from the omega-6 factory, and you still eat omega-6 factories now, okay? I see some of the food you eat, and that's okay. There's no problems with that because
there's a lot of problems with that, and we should cut back on fatty foods. Can I just jump in there, right? You're going to be proud of me, Robert. Lassie and the kids, who you can see behind me, they're in Hong Kong right now, right? They're in Hong Kong right now. And I've actually gone to the next level in my health. I've actually gone back to full vegetarian. I've not eaten any meat in at least 7 days, and I feel fantastic. So in other words, I've actually pulled a lot of the crappy omega out of my body. It feels great, doesn't it? Like I've gone down, I'm doing the
Correct.
vegetarian. I used to be a vegetarian for years, and now I'm going back to it. Feels great, doesn't it, when you get all that crap out of your system, doesn't it, Robert?
It's cleansing the cellular structure, and that's what people don't understand. That when you can get that cells, those cellular structures working the right way, your whole body just says thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, and natural weight production, you lose weight, all those things will come with it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. But just on that, just jumping into health, right? And just for the sake of it, so when you say omega-6, right? I know what you mean. But I just want you to explain to the audience, what do you mean by omega-6 and why is it harmful and how do we watch out for it? Tell us a bit about the evils of omega-6, which I couldn't agree with you more on.
Well, when Ed's sitting, for an example, at the Bondi Beach or Balmoral Beach, and he's got his fish and chips there with a cappuccino, total omega-6 factory, okay?
Yeah.
But it's okay. 20% of your life, if you do it 20% of your life, that's okay. But you just got to make sure you combat it with the right omegas on the other side, the essential fatty acids. So, for an example, there's Enzino balanced oil, okay? 10 mil a day is nothing, guys. It's a capsule. It's one of those little capsules a day. It's nothing. And you can put it on food. You can put it anywhere you want. It doesn't matter, okay? As long as you get it into your system, it will work. But, Ed, that's all it is. The problem is that most of the people today are eating 80% of their food, okay? That stuff all the time.
Yeah. So I'll use an example, right? Like, Uber Eats, right? And home delivery of food. I've never been comfortable with the idea of home delivery of takeaway.
Never
right?
done it. I'd never do it.
Yeah,
Never done it.
When Uber Eats first came out, right? To this, and I'm not the only one, by the way. You and I aren't the only ones who think this, but I was very dark on the concept of Uber Eats because to me, Uber Eats is making it easy. Because before Uber Eats, you had to at least go out to buy the food.
Correct.
Right? There was a barrier to entry. There was a barrier, right? Now that barrier has been removed, so it's just so much easier. So I remember during the lockdowns, and I was living in an apartment in Western Sydney at the time with my family before we moved to the North Shore. Yeah. Anyway, and what happened? And I remember 6 o'clock, you'd have all the Uber Eats people, and people are just buying crap. Like, the healthiest thing people would get are pizzas. Like pizzas were the best, but you would just see McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken. You would just see people. I know these people. I know who they are. They're literally living on takeaway food. And that's going to be awful for your system because you're right. Like if you're just living month to month on takeaway food, what's happening to your cells in your body? It must be pretty poor quality internals you've got there.
Well, interesting. Yes, it is. And again, 97% of the people we test, we know they're imbalanced. Their balances are incorrect. But Ed, I want to just comment on one thing you just said. And I know you didn't mean to say the way you said it, okay? Okay. But what about that concept? What about that concept, okay? That little man in Uber, okay, sitting in the top of the tree, okay? He went, we can't pick people up anymore. What can we do to keep our people working? Brilliant. I refuse to subscribe to it, as in to get takeaway food brought to my house. Never done it. Will never do it. I think it's an insult to the human race, okay? Get in your car, go get it, and then if you want it, you get it. If you don't, walk for it, okay? But think about what he did, okay, Mr.
Genius.
Uber.
Genius.
Like, that's what we're talking about today, ahead of the game. Had a problem, thought, oh, dear, all my guys are now going to be sacked or got no work. And then he went, let's pick up. It happened overnight. He put the system in place. Think about it, Ed. You joke about it today, okay? I'm thinking how, and me, I'm the same going, I won't. But think about the millions and millions and millions. Not only one business called Uber, there's Food Menu, there's Gigi, there's this one, there's this. Number of people went and duplicated the idea quickly because it was such a great idea. Delivering food to people. And that was only born because of, it exploded because
Yeah.
of that 3-year speed bump. It exploded.
Yeah.
Think
And
about
what I find fascinating with the whole Uber Eats culture, it's still there. So even though everyone's still using it. So, but I agree with you. It's a bit of genius entrepreneurship, which is amazing. Now, I was just going to say, Robert, to everyone watching, we've been here for half an hour. To those watching, a big thank you. Please like, share, and comment, and connect with Robert and myself. Now, Robert, we're coming towards the end. I'd love to hear some closing thoughts from you. Please tell us about Zenzino and how people can get started with you. Please, Robert, over to you. Love to hear what you're thinking.
Hey guys, number one is DM me. Look, if you want to get tested and see what we do, again, proof defeats doubts. 97% of the people in the world are out of balance. We already know that. But all I'll say to you is take a proactive approach to your health, number one, okay, and take 10 mil of this product on a daily basis. Then all I'll say to you is simply buy one of these white boxes, okay? You can buy it in 97, 100 countries around the world. Inside this little box, okay, is the first 2 months supply of your product and your balance test. It is going to do nothing more than make your cells happy or nourish your cells to get them to where they should be. So I always say to people, get yourself tested, get on the product for the first 120 days, and then it's your decision on whether you want to continue to look after your body. I always say to people, get yourself a second test because day one is just a marker, okay? It's like when you're rewriting your goals tonight. If you get that blank book, like I said, put the numbers in. I'll say, okay, page one's going to be this, page 30. As your days go through, or months or years, do this with the product as well. Zenzino is the gold standard in the world today. Okay, it's been literally noted now as one of the best products in the world. The testing, there's nothing else out there that does it the way we do it. ZenzinoTest.com. Go and have a look at that. But just DM me, guys, if you need any information. You want to test, if you're in Australia and you want to test, let me know. I'll look after you, okay? I've just mentioned this recording or mentioned Ed's name. My job or my journey is number one, I want to make sure I get a lot of people happy. Number two, make sure they're healthy. And if they make money out of their change of life, okay, happiness, monetary, and their next journey of life, again, I've done thousands and thousands of people that, as I say, when I see people that always thank me for the inspiration that I've given them on some of the recordings, like your recordings, Ed, you can't watch your recordings and feel bad. If you do, go get a job at McDonald's, okay?
Yeah.
But guys, there's so much great stuff.
And McDonald's is the ultimate omega-6 factory. They are masters in omega-6 production. They should be Mick Omega. You should have the Mick Omega-6 burger. That would be really good.
Be amazing. But guys, check up from the neck up. Get the thought pattern here right. Get the skill set right. Get a haircut. It does help, okay? The lighter you make this, the better it does. I found ever since I decided to shave my head all the time, it just makes me think clearer. It's great at the beach. It's great in the car.
And then Jeff Bezos ripped you off. So when Jeff Bezos saw you without hair, he started shaving it and came and cut it. So Jeff Bezos needs to copying it.
He started working out of his home as well. Think about it. That's how that all started back in the early days. There's photos to prove. That's how he started that company. But he was thinking, how can I do this differently?
Yeah, smart. Robert, you are an inspiration to our friends around the world. There's going to be more live streams of Robert Horkings. So keep an eye on your LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. You're going to see more of Edward Zero and Robert Horkings. Robert, I know you're a busy man. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. We appreciate you, Robert.
My pleasure, guys. Take care and, hey, live happy.